Hi, I'm Melissa. Welcome to Itsoma Pattern Co. In this video, we're going to go through how to sew the Azalea top and dress pattern. Azalea is a simple feminine design with wide shoulders and a comfy flattering shape. The bust has some ease for easy movement, and the unique waistband helps define your waist without feeling tight. The front has a feminine under bust seam line, while the back has some shirring for a snug but stretchy fit. For this pattern, I recommend using a light to mid-weight woven fabric. Think linen, chambray, cotton poplin, or blends like linen cotton or linen viscose. All these work really nicely. You'll want something with a bit of structure to hold the shape well. If you go for something too drapey, it'll change the overall look quite a bit. It might feel a bit too big or too loose in comparison to a more structured fabric. You're also going to need thread in a matching color to your fabric, elastic for shirring, interfacing only if your fabric is not structured enough, and bias tape if you don't want to make your own. This pattern features two views, view A, which is a waist length at the top, and view B, which features an A-line skirt with pockets that hits just below the knee. In this sew along, we're going to focus on making view B, which is a dress. For fabric requirements and the size chart, please refer to the instruction manual that comes with your pattern. Azalea is designed to hit your natural waist. The finished garment measurements will give you an idea of where the bodice will hit on your body. If you have a shorter or longer torso, or would like the bodice to be a different length, you can easily adjust it by referring to the Making Adjustments page on your instruction booklet. The pattern also comes in 3 different formats: a print-at-home file, an A0 file, and a projector file. I love using my projector, it's so much faster and less printing. Here I'm using a Petal Signature cotton from Spoonflower with my own print. After you pre-washed your fabric, it's time to cut it out. You're going to need the back bodice, front waistband, back waistband, front and back neck facings, sleeve bindings, pocket facing, back pocket, front skirt, and back skirt. If you're using a lightweight fabric, remember to interface one of your front waistbands as well as your neck facings. Make sure to mark all your notches and that they're visible, as well as the shirring lines on the back waistband on the right side of the fabric. The first step is to prepare the waistbands. If you're making the top, you're going to trim 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter off the bottom of one of the front waistbands. This will be your lining. Since we're making the dress in this tutorial, you're going to trim both front waistbands as well as your back waistband, 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter. We're now ready to begin the shirring. This is the fun part. Take your time with it. It might take you a few tries before you get the hang of it. I've listed some of my favorite tips in the booklet, but the main thing to remember is that you have to hand wind your bobbin. Play with the stitch length. Every fabric is different and will gather differently according to the stitch length. Generally, the longer the stitch, the more gathers you'll get. Load the bobbin in the machine and make sure the elastic is placed in the guide. Bring the needle down and the regular thread will pull up the elastic. You might feel a little resistance, so don't be afraid to pull it up and bring it up to the side. I've set my length to 4 millimeters here. And now we're ready to start. Backstitch at the beginning and at the end of every row so that you don't lose your thread. Go slow at first until you get the hang of it, and you'll probably hear your machine making some noises. This is normal. Don't forget to backstitch when you get to the end. I also like to pull up the needle and then pull my fabric away, leaving a long tail of elastic, just in case. Continue doing this until you get to the last row. You can always add more rows depending on the look that you want. The more you add, the stretchier it will be. Next, you're going to finish the short ends of both the back and front neck facings with a zigzag or serger stitch. Next, with right sides together, align both facings at the shoulders. Sew them together using a 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter seam allowance and press them open. Finish the outer edge of the neck facing. Here's where you can get a little fancy. Using bias tape to finish the outer edge can give you a cleaner look. You can also use a completely different fabric for a pop of color if you want. On your front bodice, sew 2 rows of basting stitches at the bottom. Make sure the notches and the middle point that you marked are still visible. Carefully pull either from the top or bottom thread equally from both sides. This will give you an even gather. We're now going to assemble the front waistband to the bodice. With right sides together, place the main waistband on top of the front bodice, aligning all the notches. If you chose to interface your fabric, use this piece. I like to align my middle point first so I don't lose it, and then align the other notches. Once both pieces are together, space the gathers equally in between all the pins. Use a basting stitch to sew them together. To be honest, I usually skip this step. To save a little time, I take the lining waistband and place it on top of the bodice, wrong side up. I repeat the same steps, aligning the middle point and the side notches, making sure they're all evenly spaced out. Sew all 3 pieces together using the first seam as a guide if you used a basting stitch. I like to go slowly once I get to the middle point and double check to make sure that all the gathers are equally spaced. Once all 3 pieces are together, it doesn't hurt to check one more time just before we finish this step. Pull the waistbands down and make sure all the gathers are just how you want them. Sometimes I find that the angles can be a little bit weird at the middle point. If it all looks good, snip the seam allowance at the middle point to reduce the bulk, and clip the curved seams without snipping your stitches so that they sit flat when you turn them. Pull both the waistbands down again. You can use an orange stick to gently push the point in the middle of the waistband to get a really sharp point. Press your waistbands, cut any visible basting stitches, and top stitch 1/4 of an inch or 6 millimeters from the seam. Now we're going to work on the back waistband. Take your shirred back waistband and place it on your back bodice, right sides together, aligning the center notch first. The bottom waistband is a bit wider than the back bodice. There will be some gathering happening, and this is okay. This is so that you can put it on easier. Sew them together and then finish the seam. Press it up towards the bodice. Next, finish the shoulders of both the front and back bodices. With right sides together, stitch the seams and press them open. Place the neck facing onto the bodice, aligning the shoulder seams with the right sides together. Sew and clip the seam without cutting into your stitches. Press the neck facing up towards the seam allowance and understitch 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters away from the seam. Fold and press the neck facing in so that wrong sides are together. Sew the neck facing to the bodice using a 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter seam allowance. Fold your binding strip in half lengthwise, wrong sides together, and press. With right sides together, sew the binding to the armhole, aligning the raw edges using a 1/4 of an inch or 6 millimeters seam allowance. Once they're sewn together, press the binding towards the seam allowance and understitch it 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters away from the seam. Cut off any excess binding that you have. Aside from the waistband modifications that we made earlier, all these steps apply for both views, the top and the dress. But this is where we part ways. If you're working on the top, please refer to your booklet to continue the process. But if you're making the dress with me, we're now going to move on to the skirt. With right sides together, place the pocket facing on the front skirt, aligning the notches. Sew from the top edge to the notch. Fold the pocket facings towards the seam allowance and press. Understitch 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters away from the seam. Place the pocket backs onto the pocket facings, right sides together, and sew around the curved edges and finish the seams. Now that the pockets are finished, fold them over to the wrong side and baste the tops and the sides to keep them in place. With right sides together, sew the front skirt to the front bodice and finish the seam. This seam you're going to press towards the bodice. Then top stitch 1/4 of an inch or 6 millimeters away from the seam. Then you're going to sew the back bodice to your back skirt, right sides together. Make sure to stretch the shirred back waistband as you sew. Finish the seam, and this seam you're going to press down towards the skirt. Finish all the sides, the front and the back separately. Remember that we have not finished the armholes yet. That's coming up. With right sides together, sew along the side seams of the dress. Press the seams open. Now we're going to finish the armholes, and then we're almost done. Fold in the binding towards the wrong side of the dress. Stitch using a 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter seam allowance. The very last step is to fold up the hem by 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter. Press it and then fold it again 5/8 of an inch or 1.5 centimeters and then press. Stitch all around the hem, and that's it, you're done. Thanks so much for following along. I hope you love your Azalea as much as I do. If you want to make this pattern, please find the link below in the description box. And if you make it, be sure to tag me so that I can see it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy sewing!